Well, there you go. My bit rate got changed again to 5870 kilobits per second. I don't know what that's about, but good morning anyway. I'm going to check on my audio here. See if I hear something. Yes, I do. I've got audio confirmation. So, why am I on that screen? That doesn't make sense. This is where I'm supposed to start. Can't teach Doug anything. This has been a morning for flubbing up. As a matter of fact, I just put a message into chat about my mess ups this morning playing Fortnite. And I was carried away typing that message all into it. And I hit enter and realized, oh my gosh, it's 9 o'clock. I'm supposed to get the show started. Yeah, so September 8th, 2022. It's now 9:01 a.m. as I'm just blabbering away about anything and everything. Well, a little bit. So I got confirmation going that chat is working. Tony gives me a message in chat that AVDV are good. And here's the W. And Tony, I changed the ringtone. The reason why I wasn't noticing your text messages is because I got a new phone since the last time that method of notifying me was in use. So I had to change the ringtone so that it's different than the other various little sounds that come through on the phone. So today is called Windows Daily number 50. That sounds like some kind of an important achievement, isn't it? 50 of Windows Daily. Reliability monitor for troubleshooting Windows. This was a surprise. I had no idea during yesterday's broadcast that I would be doing this. But because of something that came through on chat, I'm doing this today. So let's go see what that was. I think, yeah, this screen has the chat messages from yesterday. Here, Selden Bell. Another display of causes of reboots is the reliability page /app. So we're going to go look at that today. And a little bit of a comical story behind that from my point of view, I'm going to say. Just we'll delay that explanation till later. Then let's talk about other chat comments about yesterday. Instead of archiving bit, it's checking last modification date, and we get more information on that later. And I was struggling at a moment for the word encryption. Now, was I really struggling for that word? I needed the word encryption, and I said, you know, when they kind of jumble all things up, maybe that was a QFA, quiz for all, that I just put in something that obviously I must know what that word is, and I'm just kind of putting it out there as a quiz for all. Or was I really forgetting the word at that moment? Will I ever answer that question? Okay, moving on. I would assume that if Macri was installed on a virtual machine, that virtual machine would be able to do backups, including differential or incremental. It might be the case that you have to have the paid version. That seems vaguely familiar to me, that to back up a virtual machine, I think you have to have the paid version. And that would kind of make sense because that's kind of an advanced capability. But a virtual machine has essentially a virtual storage drive or hard drive or NVMe. I think you can even configure it as to what kind of drive you want it to pretend that it has. So you could actually see the different amount of time that a backup takes if it is simulating a spinning hard drive. I don't know that. Maybe Lawn Dog can answer that. But I would think that, yes, you could do a backup of a virtual machine. You're going to be storing that backup on some real media, except that you could have a second virtual drive that's pretending to be an older, slower spinning drive, for instance. Perform the backup and see how long that takes and compare it to doing a real world backup to that same drive, meaning you have a real physical drive, and then your virtual machine, you set up a virtual external drive of the same make and model. I'm interested in doing that. Can you demonstrate differences between backup speeds or other file transfer processes by doing something like that? So as long as the virtual machine can see an external hard drive, and that's a configuration thing, you should be able to do that. This is something I might tinker with just to see if it works. I enjoy your tinkerings when you go do that, and I will, you know, describe to the audience what your findings are. I think that's fun. By the way, the ability to create a backup image seems easy to do with a virtual machine, but I'm scratching my head a little bit about restoring an image. So if you had a virtual backup drive, then you could do the backup, make some changes in your installed virtual machine, and then launch Macro Reflect on the virtual machine and perform a restore from that. It's going to, I think, it should reboot your virtual machine into the recovery mode, the recovery environment, and perform the restore operation just like it would on a real machine. And you could be doing that from a virtual backup drive or from a real backup drive. I would think you could do it from both, but I don't know. There's just some more stuff for you to play with. As long as the virtual machine is set up and running and the storage drive is available, it says yes. And that's what I'm thinking, Doug. If you could do a backup while Windows is running, that would be potentially the way to do it relatively trouble-free. Now, then Lawn Dog, when I was struggling for volume, I can't, you don't see that there. Volume shadow copy, I asked what does VSS stand for, and this has been something that I've known for some time and it just always bugged me. VSS stands for volume shadow copy. Now, wait a minute, copy doesn't begin with the word letter S. Well, what it is volume shadow copy service is the name of the service. Since we use three-letter acronyms so much, they just use VSS as the PLA for that. PLA, three-letter acronym. See what I did there? But it's actually volume shadow copy. Now, one of the things that I kind of put out yesterday, maybe a little bit before thinking about it, a little bit inaccurately, said, if you have a document open and you make an image backup and you restore that image, will that document still be open? Well, only if, and this will be worth testing too, because I'm not certain about this. It seems like I have experienced this, where I did a restore operation when I booted the computer up, boom, it was there. Only if you have hibernation turned on or standby turned on, and that when the backup image was created, backup image is just an image of the storage drive. But hibernation file is on the storage drive. So if the hibernation file is current, reflecting the current state of Windows, and when you restore that image, if it's actually restoring that image to your storage media with the hibernation active, not just that the file is there, but it's active, like you had clicked to hibernate the computer before doing the backup, but you really didn't. Now, if you click to hibernate the computer and then, see, that shuts the computer completely off, and then boot to the USB memory stick that has Macro Reflect on it, and then do a backup image of the hard drive where hibernation is active because you hibernated the computer. You restore that image and then boot the computer up on that image, it should restore to whatever programs are open at the time. I don't know why anyone would ever want to do that, because that's a lot of effort to actually hibernate the computer, then boot on the thumb drive to create the backup so that the backup has an image that is hibernated. Interesting. I'm glad there's other people here like Lawn Dog and Rand Israel that get curious about these minutiae questions. I think it does make you a better technician because you're understanding more about the inner workings of the operating system. All right, that's all of the chat room. Now let's go look at comments on the channel, because there are comments on that video that are still active here because I haven't clicked thumbs up or heart yet. El Galena, I read this one yesterday. I haven't thumbs up or hearted it yet. Thumbs upped it, past tense. I haven't thumbs upped it or hearted it. yet because I want to keep it here until I get to the point of testing this. This latest version seems to have eliminated the ability to name a backup file. So I'm going to keep that here until I actually test that and demonstrate to you it. And then Dennis, we talked a little bit about his rebooting thing yesterday. So he gave me a response. The only event error warning that popped up between 9 a.m. Central Time and the time of the reboot, 9:57, was the previous system shutdown at 9:17 a.m. was unexpected. Notice the time is off by 40 minutes. That's weird. Now the time, the way that happens is the message that says the previous shutdown, that message should be date timestamp after you restarted the computer, and it should be referring to the time that it perceives or it thinks that the computer was unexpectedly shut off. And you say here between 9 a.m. and 9:57. So the time of the reboot. So the 9:57 was the restart when you started it up. The 9:17 isn't the time of the restart. That was the time that the computer was last active and able to record anything in the event viewer. The time is off by 40 minutes. So I just explained why I think that is. Anyway, I've investigated this before. It might be power supply related as it will be 10 years old. So the event viewer is not actually giving him any reason because the problem was happening and the occurrence of the problem was preventing an event from being recorded. And then you just have to do troubleshooting, swapping parts, making changes, things to possibly figure out what's going wrong. A technique that I have used to try to figure out whether it's hardware or operating system related is swap hard drives, swap drive medium, or make a backup image, and then do a fresh Windows 10 install and see if you have a stable running computer. In this case, that's probably not very viable because it sounds like it's not a frequent enough of a problem to afford leaving the computer running that long to find out. So in this case, probably not a workable idea. So he gives us information about the computer. There's only one optional update available, and he's going to defer doing that until the next cumulative update. And he's planning to replace the computer anyway, so maybe not too concerned about troubleshooting this. Rans Israel says, curiosity got the better of me, so I went on a small turned medium digging expedition in Macrim's forums, and you were right, Doug. Macrim Reflect doesn't use the archive bit to determine which files to back up, but rather the last modified timestamp for each file and folder, which explains how a differential backup can pick up the changes after an incremental backup. So yeah, that makes total sense because when a file gets modified, date and timestamp will change. So it is maintaining a database of those date and timestamps or comparing them to the last file. But another piece here explains how differential backup can pick up changes after an incremental backup. So this is a worthy thing to go look at. I don't think I actually launched Macrim Reflect yet, so I'm going to go ahead and launch that and point out this thing about a it's prompted me for installing the update, which I probably would have been good to show you, but actually I can't demonstrate that here, can I? Because I don't have another sequence. But these incremental backups, when the last incremental backup of this week is done, then a differential backup is done to evaluate what files should be backed up for that differential backup. It should be looking at the current date and timestamp of the files that exist at that time and comparing it to the last differential, or in this case, the last full backup. It shouldn't be looking at any of these incrementals because they're irrelevant for the next differential. The next differential should only be looking at what files were backed up in the last differential, or if there wasn't one, then the last full backup like we have here. Then let's get back. Okay, so that finishes all of that. Now, to email. This is taking us to a different subject. I received a text message from one of my brothers this morning, Stan. He's been on the show before. I've got his email open over here on this tab. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit. And he sent me a text message with a screenshot of this, and I asked him to forward this email to me. Somehow I want to start incorporating routine exposures of scam and maybe spam, but mostly scam emails and phishing emails. So here he asked me when we set up this computer he has now, did we install McAfee? And I said, no, I avoid that like the plague. I don't think it's a good thing for your computer. Sometimes it gets unintentionally installed. You authorize it, but don't realize it because it can be kind of sneaky. That's not what happened here. After I gave him my response, he said, well, this is what I got. He got an email saying your antivirus has expired. McAfee antivirus will auto-renew for $499. So this is intended to panic a person who doesn't know how these scams work. Is valid until September 8th, 2025. So it's going to go for a few years. That supposedly explains why it's so much. We've created an invoice for you. Billing address. I guess that's not a clickable link. In his, see, it's underlined like that's a clickable link. It might not be on his because this was not very well designed. Invoice ID number, a date, quantity, McAfee total protection, $499. I went to McAfee's website. I didn't find anything for $499, even 3 years worth. I don't think it was going to be $499. Although total protection might be a higher level product than what I looked at. But anyway, please keep the details in a safe place. You will require this to upgrade your antivirus. Online transactions will take 48 hours to reflect in your account. For any inquiries or having some issue, you can reach out to us. And look what they did with their phone number here. Did it in that really cattywampus weird way to probably avoid filters. Filters that would filter out something like that. Now, if you go search for that phone number doesn't come up anywhere. See, this search result here says missing. Is that phone number must include? So this is just giving me search results for scams. And then also, if I scroll up here a little bit, look at the address that it came from, duplexhot370@gmail. That obviously is not a McAfee address. And if you search for that email address over here, that email address, it's missing. If you want to only get search results that have that address, you can click on here, and it's not there because nothing came up. So people in your circle of influence who aren't real computer literate, you ought to be mentioning things like this. Look, are you getting scam emails? Look at the address that it came from. Don't click on any link or call any phone number that's in an email because they are almost always scams. And they will try to scam money out of you. And they're very clever about how they do that. Now, this email, look, that's not very clever. Anybody watching this video would come up with better ways to try to scam somebody. First, it's too high of a dollar amount, although I guess that does kind of panic people. But my point there is that scams are multi-layered in their participants. Whoever this phone number goes to is certainly not the person who sent out this email. You might call them, sometimes we use the term script kiddies to refer to entry-level scammers. There's marketplaces on the dark web. I haven't gone poking around in them, but I've seen other videos about them. And you can offer your services to other people that are in the chain of the scam marketplace to offer your services to generate phone calls to their phone number, and you earn a little bit of money for doing that. And they probably come up with various different bogus emails address. That actually could be a valid person's email address. They sent this out spoofing that email address, and this person might be getting a lot of angry replies to their emails. Why are you sending me this? So I want to invite people to forward emails like this to me because I want to start doing some kind of a series. Not quite sure how that's going to formulate yet. But if you find, I'd like to make these really public and promote these so that people will talk to the people in their sphere of influence about them. Now, let's go deal with clicking around here, the reliability app page. So after yesterday's live stream, I went poking around in that, and I was kind of intrigued and embarrassed and surprised and happy. So Windows key and then type reliability. And then here we get this view reliability history. This pulls information from the event viewer, and that's always been my go-to thing, and it's also connected with Performance Monitor. My old school way of doing that would be perfmon. You see that there in a previous run that I did report. Well, it doesn't work very well, and I've been kind of scratching my head about that for a long time. Why doesn't that thing work better? I'm not going to go demonstrate what's wrong with it because it's pointless, because we have this. I did not have awareness of this until Selden Bell's comment. I thought, how in the world have I been missing this? It must be new, is what I said to myself. Well, one Doug to the other Doug. But no, it's not new. It's not recent. This has totally not been on my radar. Why is that? So I went over here to YouTube and did a search for reliability monitor. There's got to be videos out there on it, right? Well, sure enough, yeah, 1 year ago, and then 6 years ago. And then if I jump over this one from me, there's 2 years ago and 2 years ago and 8 years ago. There's not much out there about reliability monitor. Is this an overlooked thing? Now notice, I scheduled today's live stream, and already in YouTube, I hit the search results for this search term, reliability monitor. Today's video might get a lot of views because it shows up in this search result. Now that is only going to happen if somebody knows the term reliability monitor and goes searching for it. How many people are searching for that? I don't know. But let's go look deeper into this reliability monitor. I love this thing. This is Big Beast Build. Are you impressed with the reliability of Big Beast Build? Well, no, you should answer no. One of those videos was, the guy was demonstrating this, and his was at 10 all the way across. What a boring way to demonstrate reliability monitor if you got reliability of 10 all the way across. Down here, I'm at a reliability of 1. It starts climbing a little bit, then something happens. It starts climbing a little bit, then something else happens. It dips down, then it starts climbing, meaning it's fairly stable through here, even though we got a red at. So we'll look at that in a minute. And then here's some problems happen. Drives the reliability level down. So this is an easy graphical way to see what's going on. Whole lot easier than Event Viewer. Oh my gosh. Or Performance Monitor. Way easier than that. Ken Stout, I assume you're watching. I think I'm going to be finishing on time today. So now let's go take a look at these. Each of these rectangles is a date. So here is August 20th, August 21st, August 22nd, August 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. You get the way that goes. And one of those videos says it only goes back 30 days, I think they said, and I hadn't checked on that yet. So I'm clicking this back arrow. Yeah, I only get back to August 8th, which is odd to me because Event Viewer has far more data than that. Now I'm trying to click to go back to the right, and it's not going to the right. Could it be that this program's a little flaky too? Or could it be that Big Beast Build is crashing on me right now and I just don't know it yet? Interesting. How do I get to that's 826. That's not current. How do I get back to the right side? I'm going to close Reliability Monitor, press Windows key, type Reliability. Here's View Reliability History. Notice that it doesn't say Reliability Monitor. It says View Reliability History. That opens this thing called Reliability Monitor. Now it's generating the report, and here I'm back at the right side. So this panel today is good. Now here, there's 2 red X's. So this level of red X is for application failures over here on the right side. The next row that I don't have, I have an arrow back here. That's for Windows failures. And this row is for miscellaneous failures. So the red X is on that row, indicates miscellaneous failures. This row is for warnings. There's one warning. There's a second warning. And then this row is for information. We have that all the way across. You know, I can look at this camera because it shows up on my streaming panel. Then if I click this X, well, it's already showing down here. So application failures, if I look down here for which of those is application failures, this says Windows, critical events Windows. So everything that has a red X is critical events. On the Windows failures row, I don't have anything in here, even though this says Windows was not properly shut down. So it's indicating 2 days ago I had oh, that was when the power went out. Yeah, we had a rolling blackout in California. And then DTS Auto, something stopped working, DTS Auto. So these are 2 application failures. Interesting that this one is not considered a Windows failure. Okay, that makes sense because a power outage is not a Windows failure. I can click over here to view technical details, and it gives me more details, but there's not much more details on this. Previous shutdown at such and such time was unexpected. So it's telling me the time that the computer was last known to be operational at 1:36, and the restart was at 1:43. In Dennis's example, it was a longer time period between the two, which ought to mean that it was a while before he turned it back on. I don't know if that was the case. These DTS audio, so this gives me a clue of something that failed there on the 7th. However, this is the same time range. This is after that restart, and then again at night. DTS audio processing objects. So something was going on with that. So I'm making this column wider so you can see down here. These are all the informational events. These informational events are not going to harm the reliability at all. See, the reliability was climbing through those. So these informational events are just security intelligence update for the antivirus, whatever that update was. So it's showing the actual updates that occurred apparently. Now, as I go through these, I get something more interesting. What can I do? Look at, here's informational things about XSplit. So that's, I think that was an update to XSplit. And there's DTS again. Now let's go over here. That's DTS. What are these red X's? So I would go looking for that DTS, but I'm more interested in this one. Look at this, SD Zoom plugin. And SD Zoom plugin, look at all of that trouble. And there's more of that. If I click back here, I think there's more of that. SD Zoom plugin. There's a bunch of SD Zoom plugins. So what is that? Well, I'm going to show you what that is. SD, in this case, I'm pretty sure stands for Stream Deck. I have a Zoom plugin on my Stream Deck, but it didn't help me anything, so I don't use it anymore. So I'm going to go open the Stream Deck panel, drag it over this monitor so you can see it, and I want to go uninstall that Zoom plugin. If I collapse this, collapse all of these sections here, see, here's the Zoom plugin. So I'm going to uninstall that because I tried using it, it didn't do what it was supposed to do. And these plugins, I think, automatically get updated. Yeah, I remember I did go look that up. So then I'm going to try to uninstall that. I clicked on that gear icon, come over here, and I don't recollect where I can uninstall that. Should be hard for me to find, right? Because I'm a computer technician. I'm supposed to know what I'm doing and not be confused. We know how that goes. Where do I go to uninstall those add-ins? Try right-click on that? No. Custom standard, cloud all this. Where do I uninstall that? Somebody's going to tell me in chat. Stream Deck Store, or maybe this thing here. That looks possible. See how all those things are check marked now? So if I go click on this one and come up here, that's going to let me move them around. Oh, here it is, uninstall. So when I got these check marks here, I can right click, or no, is it right click? Saw that somewhere. Oh, I have to right click on one of its sub items and then uninstall. Are you sure you want to uninstall the Action Zoom plugin? So now I'll check back in this reliability monitor after a number of days or a week and see if I no longer get those problems. And then I'll probably also go do some research on DTS audio because I don't know offhand anything about that. Shouldn't be hard to search for it. There's 9:30. Well, that's a good quitting time because I have the automatic whatever thing that sends the audience to Ken's stream. And I'll go catch up on chat later. And we'll go ahead and end this one. So I hope that was useful. Have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye.